Right, hi guys, and I'm very excited about this video as I have a very special guest sitting here beside me who has helped countless of PADI members and dive shops in becoming more successful in the dive industry. There's this great person sitting right next to me. It is Neil Richard, who is the PADI Regional Manager, and in this video today we're going to get to know him a little bit better. But we're also going to hear a little bit more about what PADI does as an organization for all of our PADI members out there, and a little bit about the dive industry as it is right now and how the dive industry will look in the future as well. So I am super excited and welcome, Neil.
Cool, thanks Marcel. Thanks for inviting me along. It's an awesome opportunity to not only spend some time with you, but also hopefully answer some questions that some listeners may have. And also, inform them of what PADI does and what I do. So yeah, looking forward to it.
For the ones that are watching right now and are wondering what is a PADI Regional Manager and what is the role within PADI and how you are helping us out as PADI members, maybe you can explain a little bit more about your function.
Okay, so as a regional manager, my job is to basically help PADI members, so individual instructors, dive masters, but it's also to help the dive centres. And that can be such a range of things. It could be looking at helping them grow their business. It could be looking at maybe training, helping maybe to train some staff. It could be about helping them design a new sign for the front of the shop to attract more customers. So my job really, I suppose, is like a business consultant to help them succeed and get better. And kind of no days the same, which is kind of important with a job. It definitely gives me a lot of variety, but it also is very, very rewarding when you can help somebody and help them become better and then see the results from it. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell what the job is.
What you're saying right now sounds fantastic. So you're actually still a teacher, but you are now teaching and helping PADI members and dive shops to become better in the dive industry. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you got excited about scuba diving and how that led into become a professional and to become a PADI Regional Manager?
It was my wife's fault that got me into scuba diving in the first place. We got married, and on our honeymoon we did our first dives together in India. We then on our next holiday we went diving in the Red Sea in Egypt, and I think the guy that taught us really influenced me personally. I kind of sat there and went, what a cool job. And being an instructor myself, all your students ask, well, how did you become an instructor and how do you live here? And what's it like to actually do this all the time? I was asking all those questions to a certain instructor. Got home and kind of went, oh, I think I can do that. And did my rescue course in the UK in February, which was a steep learning curve. It was a little bit cold, but a totally different experience, and absolutely loved it. And then soon after that, we sold our house and business and packed everything into a suitcase and went over to Thailand and became PADI Pros. From there, travelled kind of to a few places working as an instructor. So we ended up in Australia for a little bit, in the Red Sea for a few years. We then ended up in Thailand, working there for a number of years. I became a course director in the end and taught instructors. And then applied for a job with PADI and was lucky enough to get that position and have been in this role for now almost 6 years. So
wow.
It's kind of been a really interesting journey. To kind of answer your first part of that, there wasn't really a plan. It just kind of evolved with, I suppose, the people that I was with and surrounded by, and I think that's really, really cool, because as instructors and course directors and PADI staff, I think we do influence people's lives, and mine was influenced right the way through, and still is now. And hopefully I'm now in the position that I can influence others. So yeah.
Wow, that sounds fantastic, and I can tell you already you're influencing a lot of people in a very positive way, including myself, and I think that's an incredible job to have, and I also want to thank you for all the things that not only PADI does as an organization, but you do as well for us PADI members. Do you have a favorite dive site? Do you have a favorite dive that you've done?
I think I'd have to pick a dive that I did at a dive site called Seal Rocks in Australia. And I was quite a new instructor, so I'd got lots of dives, but relatively new. And we did a dive with over 150 grey nurse sharks that were naturally in this gully, and I've never seen anything to this day. I haven't seen anything that's kind of topped that. But it was fantastic. It was swim down underneath them, just lay on your back, look up, and there were sharks all over the place. And that sticks in my head as one of the best dives in my career. Very cool. And on the way back, we had dolphins on the surface. So it was just one of those days that really sticks out in my mind.
Fantastic, fantastic. And if I may ask, were you nervous diving with sharks, or did you?
Yeah, and I think that's why I love sharks so much, because they have got this rap. They've got pointy, sharp teeth. Every experience I've had with sharks has I've survived.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4,
just
5,
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it tests you a little bit, and you're there thinking, right, what if this and what if that, and in the end, the most graceful, most graceful fish, and it's just always awesome diving with sharks, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of us, we have this sort of fear for sharks or worry about sharks sometimes before we get into the dive industry. And it's healthy. We all have it, as you can hear. We're all humans. But doing more and more dives with sharks, you actually realize that they're incredible animals, that they're not so scary in real life, and that they have a fantastic role to play in nature. Besides having a fantastic journey, besides going around the world and having a beautiful dive at Seals Rock, right now, do you now, as a PADI Regional Manager, have to sort of leave that all behind and work in an office every day with a suit on and a suitcase? Or am I picturing it the wrong way? Are you still enjoying diving? How does that work?
It's important, I think, to stay, to stay up with your diving skills, and to also keep enjoying it. And I've just recently taken up tech diving, well, a couple of years ago. And that's something I'm really enjoying it because it's pushing my experience levels up. I have to really think about what I'm doing, and also diving to places where maybe people have never been before, which is real exploration, which is a side of diving that I love. But I also get to go out with PADI members to dive centres if they're doing a PADI AWARE event. I always like to join those and do the dive against debris, just to really try to encourage people and motivate people to do those great things that we're doing.
So guys, as you can see, sometimes working for a big organization doesn't mean that they go into offices. It means that they are here to help all the PADI members and still enjoy diving, which is fantastic to hear. Can you maybe talk a little bit more about the different job opportunities that you can have as a PADI member for the people that are watching this?
Cool. So there's lots of opportunities out there, and I think it's really important that as a PADI Pro, variety is there, and I think this industry gives you a lot of that. So if you're doing one job in one area, for example, for a couple of years, it's very easy to change that area, and now you're diving at brand new dive sites, teaching courses, and that variety I think is really important. Other jobs, liveaboards is a great opportunity to get to dive some of the best dive sites in the world, and obviously get paid for it, which quite often in my career I've pinched myself and gone, this is crazy. I've just got paid to go and do that great dive. There's opportunities in retail outlets with dive equipment. There's obviously connections there with marine biology, photography, film, lots and lots of different routes that you can take, the tech side, the course director route. So many things that you can go into. Yeah.
If you have been thinking about maybe career opportunities or changing your life and career, then you can all think a little bit about working in the diving industry. And just remember that wherever you end up as a PADI member in the dive industry, we will have someone like Neil as a regional manager taking care of us. So that's really cool to hear. We have been going through a bit of a rough time in the world with this pandemic. And especially for the diving industry, it has been really tough where in certain places around the world, the tourism almost sort of like stopped completely. And it's been tough on PADI as an organization. Can you tell me a little bit more about how PADI handled the pandemic?
We looked at it with the viewpoint of we need to work harder than we've ever worked before.
Great.
When things aren't going well, you can either sit back and do nothing, or you just go for it. And that was the leadership that we had, and the message to PADI staff was, right guys, we really need to help out here and get things going. Something I'm super proud of, not me personally, but for what PADI did, was what they do and what they have been doing over the last 2 years in the media. They've been talking about learning from home. They've been addressing some of the issues of the pandemic. We've been on sort of CNN now. Kristen Valette was on CNN talking about PADI e-learning, study now, and then when things open up, go diving. So I just think that side of what we did and what we're still doing is huge, because it's keeping that excitement going, and hopefully will speed up the recovery for PADI members. But something else we did that was very cool is to contact all our members, whether that's to offer advice, whether that's to help out, maybe get them onto e-learning and get that system set up for them. Or quite often it was to be an ear, to just listen to what's happening and what they're going through, and hopefully keep them motivated and keep them here. So yeah, that's kind of the things that we were doing and still are, and it's just going to get, I think, it's going to be better when things open up again, because we've had that time to see, improvements that we could make. How can we make diving safer and more enjoyable? How can we reduce our impact as human beings on the reefs? So I've actually been busier than I've ever been in this job over the last 6 years, since this started. Wow. Which is great. Yeah. And I'm enjoying it.
It's really good to hear that what you guys have been doing in the last 2 years during this pandemic. What about the future? How is PADI going to focus on making the future in the dive industry better? What are you guys focusing on right now?
So our main focus is definitely conservation. Cool. Our goal is to create a balance and a harmony between us divers and human beings and the ocean planet. And if we don't do that, who is going to do it? We're the ones that that see everything. We see corals maybe in a bad way, or we see plastic bags underwater. We all need to get together and have a single voice, and that is our goal. And one of those is to get 1 billion torchbearers, and a torchbearer is somebody that I suppose pledges to be conservation minded with their own activities, and also from a leadership point of view of showing your divers that you're picking up rubbish each time you see it, doing dive against debris, doing beach cleanups. But that's the torchbearer mission. Anybody can sign up for that. You go to PADI.com and you just kind of sign up, put your name in there, and we'll then send you some information on everything that we're doing, and hopefully you can share that. But it's also to basically create mission hubs with our dive centres, because that's where everyone's going diving, and to try to persuade them to be more conservation minded, reduce the carbon footprint, do dive against debris, protect sharks and rays. So there's a lot of stuff that we're focused on, and the main goal is it's conservation first and foremost.
Thank you, Neil, so much for being here and answering all my questions. It was really good to have you on. And yeah, guys, I hope you liked it as well. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell to get updated for future videos. And see you on the next video.
See you later, guys. Thanks, Marcel.